Hey everyone, so in today's video we're going to go over this Little Giant ladder. This is the M26 leveler. This is the largest Little Giant that is available, and we have a lot of different configurations to set this ladder up and use it to its full potential. Now the weight capacity for this ladder is about 300 pounds, and with the size of this ladder we also have some extra goodies. On the lower section there's wheels on one side, and with the leveler design you have about 7 inches of travel on both sides with extenders, so that way if you're on uneven ground you can still have a level lower section of the ladder, so that way it is sturdy to climb and use. So let's start off with the configuration that you see right now. This is the shortest setting with the A-frame design. What I love about the Little Giant ladder too is that you can actually use both sides. So unlike a traditional ladder where you only use one side, you can actually functionally use both sides. You could have 2 people on the ladder if you needed to, or you can utilize both sides without having to move the ladder again. So let's talk about some of these configurations. There's these 2 massive releases on the top, and by pushing on those you can lock the ladder in its stored position. Now with those wheels on the bottom, that makes it much easier to maneuver this ladder and to bring it from one position to the next. So even in the grass I can pull this ladder. That's how I got it to this position. It's a little bit heavy, but you can actually carry it if you'd like to. And then just by releasing those top pins, you can lock this back into place. You do have to listen to these pop out, and that way you are ready to go with this configuration. Now this ladder is about 7 feet tall in this lowest position, and then from there we can actually start to raise the ladder. So there's these release handles on both sides, and if you just start to push it up, I can now lock it in position number 1. So there's a lot of different ways that you can have this ladder. If you want to have it in this angled position, this is still something that is safe to use. So if you have to put the ladder up against a wall or something flat, you can still utilize it this way. And then from there we can even push this up in the opposite direction, and now we have about another foot of height for this ladder. So we just went from 7 feet to 8 feet. And obviously you can continue to do this depending on the height that you need and what you choose to work on and what you need. And so let's keep going. So we can continue to go. I'm just going to now go all the way up to the very top. So even with one person, this really isn't that hard to do. It just takes a little bit of time. And so now that I have it in the highest position, obviously this is going to be an unsafe position since this is not perfectly upright and down. But that is not the goal for right now. We want to get this ladder into its highest A-frame position. And I really like how easy this is to maneuver by yourself. And so I'm 5'10". I believe we're probably at 12 or 13 feet now for this A-frame ladder. So very, very sturdy. Again, you can use both sides of it. And we just went from about 7 feet to pretty much doubling the height of this ladder. And from there, I can easily lower it back down just by going to both sides. Or I could just use one side here to put it all the way down, lock it into place, and then from there we can pull this side in. So just like that, we are back to about 7 feet. Now what you can also do with this specific ladder is you can actually turn this into 2 ladders. So if you take this section right here and you actually slide it all the way off, now we have one side that I'm just going to set down for right now, and then let's take the other side off just by sliding it in the same way. Now I have not bought the connector piece, but there is a piece that you can actually place on top in order to have 2 separate ladders. So now you have 2, I'd say about 6, you have a 6-footer, a little bit over 6 feet for the ladder in the back there, but now you have a second ladder if you need it. You can also buy different attachments. You can buy walking planks that you can put between both of them. So if you're painting, doing work on a house, you can use those planks at various heights. So it makes it that much more versatile. If I needed a second ladder, I can always buy that additional piece. They cost around $20, $30, so it's not expensive in order to do that. And then you can line these pieces back up and slide them back on when you are done and ready to store this away. So with the operation of the A-frame out of the way, let's move on to using this as an extension ladder. So I can use these top pins here to release that connection, and this is basically the same design that you would buy for that second ladder. But from there, I can go in the opposite direction and we can lock this out as an extension ladder. And what those wheels will also help with is maneuvering this around when you have it on the correct side. So when you have the wheels down, you could actually use this to roll it around if needed. But from here, I say we have probably about a 14-foot extension ladder that I can now use, putting it up against the side of the house. And this ladder does have that tray in the middle. It's really more usable when you have the A-frame design, but this also has some extension pieces on both sides where you could place hammers or other tools like that. So with this in its lowest extension position, I have found the easiest way to get this from this to all the way to about 26 feet is to actually put this ladder down on the ground. So I am going to get it close to the house, and then foot by foot, we will put the ladder onto the ground. And then from here, I can just unpop these levers on each side, and then we can start sliding this ladder out foot by foot until we have it in the correct position. Now, once I have this one side locked into place, you will notice that I don't have enough room on the side with the house. So I do need to move this away from the house, and at the same time too, I can actually pull it right out of this section here. And now that we have it lined up, this is a pretty heavy ladder. So doing this by yourself can be a little intimidating. I want to have the base of the ladder touching the house. That's going to give me leverage in order to put this ladder back up. And from here, it's going to get a little bit tricky once I start getting about halfway or so. But you just need a little bit of strength and you can stand this straight up. From here, I'm going to take the base of the ladder and now start to move it away from the house to get that correct position for it to now be safe to use. And then once you're done, let's just go in the opposite direction now. Sometimes it can be a little bit much, but it's not really all that hard. So there's a look at the Little Giant M26. When I was doing research in buying a ladder for myself, I found a lot of regular extension ladders that cost more than the price of this Little Giant. And with all the configurations that this has, as well as how short this is, this made it much easier to want to go with this ladder because I could fit this in the back of my SUV compared to extension ladders where this is a 26-footer. So an extension, a full or normal extension ladder would reduce to about 13 feet, which is about twice as much as this ladder here. So the 13 feet would of course not have fit in the back of my SUV. I would have needed a bigger pickup truck or just a trailer to tow in order to fit that ladder. So this is much more compact. I can easily store this in my garage, in my shed. It makes it a lot easier to work on and maneuver. And this is a ladder that you can also use indoors. With the adjustable legs, you could set this on the stairs, any uneven surfaces that you have, you can make this ladder work. And I think that is the biggest key factor with buying this over a normal extension ladder. Some of those don't have features like that, so it's awesome to see. It is a pretty expensive ladder, but when you factor in all of the different configurations, I'm sure at some point one of these configurations will work and it will be worth the price with one of those odd settings that I need to have this ladder set at. And with the height of my house currently, it's about 22 feet. I needed to go with this ladder so that way I could safely get on the roof if I need to. So it's not really a hard ladder to use. There's just a lot that you can go over and utilize in certain situations. So if you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up. Consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. And I will see you all in the next video.